Hello, guys. This is Coach Paul here with Phase One Sports, Hawaii. We're back with episode 2 of our podcast, and our topic is mental toughness. So here I have my wife, Shanmarie, and we're gonna discuss, a little bit about what we've been doing here, especially in this summer, and what we've been doing with our summer performance program athletes from middle school to high school. So, just quick background. I'm gonna go ahead and turn it over to Shan. Maybe you can share some of your experience and your background when it comes to dealing with mental toughness.
Okay, so I've been working with adolescents, for 20 plus years now, and resilience is a big thing. So getting kids mentally fit is super important because you can be totally physically fit. You can practice every day, but if your mind isn't right, you're not going to be able to perform when you need to. So that's where I step in. My background is clinical psychology. So normally I do therapy with youth, but now I'm out there working with Paul, implementing, teaching kids the skills they need to help them get to the next level.
What do you think is to you, and I'll share my thoughts after, but what is it so important to you? Well, let me ask you this. Did you play sports growing up?
Yes.
And kind of share maybe your background in that.
Okay, growing up, my first sport was actually soccer. I played, for a few years, and I actually loved soccer. I was pretty good at it. And then we got introduced, my cousins and I got introduced to gymnastics, and that became one of my loves. I love gymnastics. I did that for multiple years. I traveled and competed. And that was super great. However, I was really, really quiet. So my parents wanted me to get out of my shell and become more verbal. So they placed me in cheerleading. And I did that for a bunch of years too. And I did like cheerleading because I still got to tumble, but that still wasn't my love. But I did go and was able to compete. We traveled to the mainland and as a team, and that was fun. So that was a great experience. And then I've also did tennis. I did some basketball. I did volleyball, swimming. I kind of did it all, but my heart wasn't really in any of the sports. My true love, which I ended up doing later in life, was dance, and that's where I spent most of my time, and that's where my passion was, and still today. I really love dance.
So sports-wise, any sports in high school when you say you played these different sports?
So yes, I actually made the team for tennis, for track, volleyball. What else did I try for? Pretty much everything I tried out for I made, but the only one I actually was committed to and did for a year was volleyball, but I just did it because my family did it, so I did it with them, but it wasn't really my thing, so I didn't stick with it.
Okay. So throughout your time and your experience in sports, at any of those times, did mindset or mental toughness cross your mind during your time in playing sports?
Absolutely. Being that the sport that I chose in high school was volleyball, and that wasn't my passion, my coaches were able to see that I was a natural athlete, so I already had the potential. Majority of my friends that were playing with me were doing it for years, so they were really, really good at volleyball. Here I was, new to the sport, a freshman, and they constantly put me in, but because I didn't truly believe in myself because I wasn't at their level, and even though I had the skill set, it really affected my game to the point I didn't want to even be put in the game. I was just like, just put me on the bench because I don't want to be out there. So mindset definitely took a big thing in how I perform, because if I was able to get out of my head and didn't have anxiety and really thought about how good of a player I actually am, I would be able to perform better without having so much anxiety and messing up, because I would get so into my head of like, can I do this or not, that I would mess up.
Mm-hmm. So, but Did you recognize that at the time?
Yes, 100%.
Did you know how to cope with it at the time?
Did I know how to cope with it? I knew how to cope with it because I've actually had counselors in the past that would teach skills to us. So luckily for me, I had skills that I could utilize. Um, so that was a yes. And then I also had supportive parents, which also helped. So lucky for me, I had a group of people that supported me.
Mm. Cool. Yeah. So, for me, my background, obviously I played sports my whole life. From a young age, I played flag football for park leagues. We didn't have the big organized leagues you have today, but, I started that when I was around the fourth grade. Didn't play tackle football until I was in about the sixth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, and then played high school, college, and then a couple years professional indoor arena football. So, um, mindset I think for me was a little different, but I did get my bachelor's degree in sociology, which it's the study of people. So I mean, we had psychology classes along with all the classes we had to take. So I have a good understanding. I don't have a master's, directly as a psychologist or a doctorate or anything like that, but just the doing the study of people in the classes that I took to get my bachelor's. I mean, I have a real good understanding on how to work with people. So I also was a school teacher. My first year out of college, I was at the Waianae High School for a year, and then I decided to move to Vegas. But when I came back home, I was teaching again, elementary to middle school and high school, at Kamaili Academy out in Waianae for almost 5 years. When I started phase one, I was still working there. I was able to kind of pull back and work part time as a teacher while I built phase one. And then I was blessed enough to have the opportunity to walk away and do this full time. But, I worked with every demographic as a school teacher. I was mainly in the special education department. So, we had to work a lot with cases with kids, mostly behaviors, and walking them through the steps of basically getting the right mindset or the proper steps to have better behaviors and whatnot. Um so that's pretty much our background. A lot of people, we always say as a trainer here at phase one, like we always advise parents, like when you look at a trainer, make sure you do your due diligence, do your background check, and make sure that they have the not the experience as an athlete, have the background in their training, like meaning their education in being a trainer, and then being able to apply it, and also be able to work with people in a way that, the communication is key and leading by example. So in this case, like we said, I have my sociology degree, a bachelor's degree. Shan has her master's degree in clinical psychology and a wide background, in what she does. So, how what? So the question is next is what? How did we start mindset? Like, why? How did the idea come about?
Well, I've been wanting to implement this into Paul's program for a while, um, just because I truly feel it's a need. Um, Mental toughness is all about, again, being resilient and being able to come failure and moving forward. Because you could be the best athlete, but we all have make mistakes. We may not always have the best game, but what are you going to do to make sure that you are able to bounce back from adversity and be able to continue and play at that high level? Because elite athletes don't have time to just dwell on their mistakes. They need to like just get going and keep moving forward. So, how do you not get stuck? What do you do when your outside stressors get in the way of life and you still need to perform? What do you do when you have all this homework to do, but you don't know how to balance your schedule? Do you truly have your goals set to get from this point to where you want to be later? Um, it's a whole lot out there that within mindset and mental toughness that we really go over, and I feel it's a need for the kids.
Absolutely. So I know she's been always talking to me about implementing it in our program. in regards to the sports performance. And I as an athlete, a former athlete, and dealing with a lot of athletes, throughout the years, um, I have learned that the mindset is key. Having that mental toughness is key. I've worked with a handful of athletes who are great athletes. Some were all state athletes in the state of Hawaii, and because of the mindset, maybe they were catered to, like, meaning, some coaches favor other kids and they can do no wrong even when they do wrong, and it's just pretty much setting them up for failure, like, meaning maybe they didn't go to class, maybe they didn't attend practice, and they still start the game. When I played football, the discipline was key, at Waiana High School back then. And you dare miss a practice, they would set the tone and you would sit out the first half or maybe not play at all. But some of these guys, were set up for failure by their coaches, maybe even some of the parents, where the kids just can't do wrong and they still play. So what happens when they go to the next level, meaning college? No longer you can hold your kid's hand. No longer can the athlete get away with things, because now it's a business. When it comes to college sports, or college in general, it's a business. So if they're going to invest in you, if you're getting a full ride scholarship, whether if it's academic or if it's athletic, I mean, most schools, say like University of Hawaii, I don't know what their tuition is now. Is it roughly about 30,000 a year or more? Something in that realm. But you're looking at a well over six-figure investment from these colleges to put into an athlete, whether if it's academic or athletically. And they want to make sure investment is, they want something on their return. So some of these athletes get recruited from high school and they go to college, and maybe they didn't get a scholarship, maybe they went to JUCO, junior college, and then they ride the bench. And what does that mean? That means they are no longer the star player. And they're so used to being catered to by their parents. They're so used to getting catered to by their coaches. So athletes just tend to slip through the cracks, and it's not their fault, because people just set them up for failure, within their team. And maybe Shan can touch on that after. But so yeah, I've seen these athletes, and what is their answer? Oh, they call me, they're like, you know what, I'm gonna switch schools. And I'm like, are you sure that's really what you want to do? The grass isn't always greener on the other side. And come to find out, they switch out schools, and the same thing happens. They still have to climb from the bottom up. They don't know how to do that because they were never taught that mentally. And that's part of what mental mindset, mental training is, mental toughness is. So, in my day, and probably even today, some of the old school guys, they think mental toughness might mean, say, if they're injured, no, just push through. That's mental toughness. Or you're just in your own head. Get out of it. Get mentally tough. So some people might misconcept what actually mindset and mental toughness means. Is it like, to you, like that military type of boot camp style? Like I just explained, where, it's like tough it out kind of deal. What's the difference between what you do here in mindset training versus a coach or dad just feels like, I can do, I get in your head, I'll be hard on you, tough love?
I think it's definitely very different from tough love, because mental toughness is innate, it's within you. That helps build character, the tough love. But mental toughness is truly a psychological construct of how you view things. So again, being able to go past your failures. And then when you fail, what do you do? Like, how are you going to be able to come back mentally? Because sometimes you regress. Like, you might be the top player, but then you do a huge mistake and your team loses a game. How are you going to show up the next week and still be that guy? What are you going to do mentally to prepare? Like, that's what it is. Mm-hmm. So it's not just like to show up. They need more than that.
Right.
They need to know, they need the skills to be able to prepare for that.
Right. No, I'm just trying to get it clear, because just like in training, right, in the realm of sports performance is what we do as a profession. You know, some parents or coaches might feel like, well, I can just take my kid to the park and we'll just train. I'll get a ladder. Let's go run a hill. I got weights in the garage, and, you know, like, but they never did any studying or never ever, you know, did any training to be a real trainer is what I'm saying. I'm not taking away from the fact that what they're doing is not good. But wouldn't we agree that when you have a professional that's been through their schooling, that's been through it all, you know, emotionally, physically, the whole nine, you're able to mentor a lot more efficient. So that's kind of the point I'm making, where that's the same thing. Is like, oh no, I give my kid tough love and mental toughness, but it's more than just that. I mean, especially like in the past, 6 weeks, 7 weeks now, that we've been doing mental toughness Monday through Friday, 1 hour with our middle school to high school kids. You know, I've literally seen changes in kids, just the way they interact with their peers in the session. You know, we have diverse. It's not just football. There's volleyball, there's soccer. There's a couple that don't even play sports, but they just wanted to be involved. We have fighters, like meaning boxers, kickboxers. I mean, it's a good mix of kids, boys and girls. So like, it was just really interesting to see the dynamics on how by the end of the first session, one in June for the 4 weeks, half the class stayed and continued on through July, which we're wrapping up next week. Then you see the new kids that came in, the other new half, about 8 kids or so. You know, I literally see the changes like throughout each week. So maybe touch upon that a little bit about what you've been doing within the mindset training, mental toughness within this summer program.
So again, we started this in June. We've been having a great group of kids. I think the first session was like 26 kids, all different backgrounds, all from different parts of the island, from like Hawaii Kai to the west side to the North Shore. So great mixture of kids, all excellent athletes. But their parents sent them to us, of course, to train with Paul to get better physically. But what stood out, I think, this time was the mindset training. And in the beginning, a lot of them didn't know how to answer me when I would introduce things. But from last month to this month, you see like they've gained so much more knowledge, and it's not stuff you really learn in school. So a lot of my background in the clinical psychology, I've introduced the skill set of how to work through everything that you go through in sports and in life in general. So trying to set a good foundation for them so they don't get lost in whatever their emotions or mentally are going through, because there's a lot that goes in through with competitive sports. The biggest thing I try to do at first is kind of assess them and teach them about self-awareness, because I need to know where their baseline is. Like, how much do you realize about yourself and know about yourself in the way you play your sport, and how you are as a true person in general. If you have no self-awareness, you can't really move forward. So we spend a lot of time on that in the beginning. But these kids are so diligent, because majority of the time, 7 days a week, if they're not at sports, they're in school. And if they're not in school or sports, they're at a training. So their life is already set that way. So they actually have a lot more, I think, advantage compared to other kids, because their mindset is already like, I want to be this person. Because you don't always get that out of the children, especially a lot of kids I've worked with in the past. They don't even know what they want to do. But these kids know where they want to be in life. Like, they know they want to go to college, what college, where, and then where they're going to go after that. So they already have their goals. And so after the self-awareness, and we discover that, we jump into their goals. And there's so many different ways to set your goals, and then how to structure and do the time management. So that's another section. But we definitely dive deeper into the different parts that are that come up, such as anxiety and depression, real mental health things. And then what do you do with it? Like, how do you sit with it? Where do you go if you have questions? And then what I teach them as we break down these different things, such as anxiety. I give them skills, things they can actually do to work through it. So you don't want to just discuss a topic. You want to make sure that they know how to function. And that's where my skill set comes in is this is what you're going through, but this is what you can do on your own. Like you can do this or you can call somebody, but I truly give them stuff. So we a big one in mindset training and mindfulness is visualization. So if you look into top elite athletes, they all do visualization. So we spend a lot of time on that. The first thing I teach them is deep breathing and different types of breathing, because some works for other people and some works better for someone else. So I give them a bunch of different techniques, and we do more experiential things where they actually, like, I walk them through a whole series of it. There's so much that we have done. Today we focused on confidence, and it's called actually sports confidence and your mindset within that. And how do you become a confident player? Because you can be the best athlete again, but if you're not confident in who you are and your skill set, it's really not going to go that far. And if you want to get to that top level, that next level, you want to be an elite athlete, you need to have that behind you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, yeah. And then, I chime in every now and again, and, I'm real big on goal setting, and I did this whole worksheet on being what is your ultimate, athletic goal? That's the name of it, ultimate athletic goal. And, it's just walking them through the process. It's one thing to have a goal, one big goal, but it's another thing on the roadmap to get to that big goal. You can't just say, like we just had episode 1 with Darius Moasau, who is now with the New York Giants as a rookie from Hawaii. And there was a roadmap. And number one thing he said was when he was 7 years old and played flag football for the first time, when his teacher in school asked, write down, what you want to be when you grow up, he said an NFL football player. And you can't just say, I'm going to be an NFL football player and not have a roadmap. So one thing I really liked about what Shan brought to that mix of what I created in the worksheet, she talked about having a dream team. So Darius had a dream team, which is your support, because, I say this all the time within the training. It's not just me. I don't make athletes, and I don't take claim for one athlete, because it takes a village of people to pour into one athlete in order for them to be successful. So rather, if they were with great trainers, bad trainers, great coaches, not so good coaches, teachers, maybe as parents, like half the kids that we work with within this summer program in the mindset have expressed a lot of pressure from their parents. So whether if the parents understand this or not, a lot of that Shan has walked through them in steps on how to cope with just their parents alone. So, I mean, of course, we don't discuss openly with the parent of what the kids are saying, or with anybody else, but there's a lot that these kids deal with, especially since the COVID days, with, with mental health. So, so, the dream team. So back to that, maybe you can just share a little bit, like what you shared. I mean, just a snapshot of what does the dream team mean?
So your dream team is truly the people that you have that's behind you, and hopefully you do have a dream team, because to have a dream team, you're pretty lucky. So normally it's like your parents, or your siblings, your trainers, your coaches, your best friends. But your team is really, really small. Like when you get to it, it's truly the people that you can count on, that won't distract you, and it's just going to keep you pushing you forward through your ups and downs. And they are there from the beginning to the end. And these are the people that, you don't question. That's just your team. And so Coach Paul just discussed Darius. His dream team is very tiny. It's his parents, his girlfriend's family, his trainers, his coaches, and I'm pretty sure that was pretty much it besides his siblings.
Mm-hmm.
And
because even his friends, like, it's a very small knit.
Yes.
I mean, yeah, and like for me, I'm big on that. I always share with the kids, you are who the 5 people you hang out with the most. So we really hone in on that, because especially in school these days, you got vaping going on, you got dabs is what they call it,
I don't even know.
something like that. I mean, you got a whole lot of stuff that is just like not good, and the peer pressure is more than ever. I mean, since I was growing up, they always talked about peer pressure, but I think they have it more today with social media, with everything involved. There's a lot more anxiety, a lot more not as much self-confidence, and yeah. So I mean, just having that dream team, and we just always preach every day. I'm like, you just got to be good people, and in order to be good people, you got to be around good people. But on the flip side, just like Shan had mentioned, not every you're lucky to have that dream team. I've known athletes who had nobody, like one mom, like dad's not around for whatever reason, and mom's doing it all, and sometimes mom's not even together, and they don't have anybody supporting them at games. And I've seen it with myself growing up. But I mean, that's a whole nother topic of what Shan, deals with in helping these athletes cope even with those kind of things. I mean, just maybe just like so, because we can go on and all the things that you can do within mindset.
I mean, even within like he just brought a few things up. So, we spent like probably at least a whole day on social media. How to be as an athlete trying to go to college. What is proper social media etiquette? Like that's a huge one. If you're an elite athlete, if you're in high school and you're going to the next level, they are teaching you, hopefully, but like the kids that worked with our older son taught them, the coaches taught them what is social media etiquette, because even your own parents posting certain things can keep you from getting that scholarship. So that's a huge one. He discussed COVID. During COVID, there was a lot of, and still today, there's a lot of suicidal people, but also adolescents. So we spent the whole day on suicide. Just so the athletes are aware, because a lot of people get pressured as athletes. What do you do if you become suicidal? Who do you turn to? What are your resources? So I provide the information to them. I give them skills. We discuss what's safe. So it's not just your mindset in general. We kind of go over a whole lot more because we want you to be totally, fully capable where you don't have to question anything. You like once something occurs, you pretty much know what to do.
So yeah, I mean, like we've had people reach out where maybe their younger athlete can't control their temper on the field. I see that a lot, where they don't understand why they get angry so quick, and that's something that Shan helps them walk through. Maybe an athlete might have an injury like a ACL tear, and they're just afraid to fully run again. Is that something you help with too?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, so they're like, it's such a wide,
right. It's a very a broad spectrum of things that we can discuss, and that's why we actually. So next week will be our last week. We just completed the pretty much we're completing the final part of our 2 sessions from June and July for our mindset training. And I just introduced this past week individual mindset training. And the part I like about individual training is that you can really hone in on whatever you are struggling with. And even if you're not struggling with it, just giving you the skills to get to that next level. Because some people are truly not really struggling with much, but things are going to come up. And what do you do when you come up? So that's why the elite athletes have mental health trainers or mindset trainers or coaches. There's so many different names. But you have these sports psychologists helping you to make sure your mind is straight, because every day we all know life stressors come up. We have our good and our bad days, but how is that going to affect you? And if your mind isn't mentally strong, it's really going to probably harm you.
All right. Yeah. I mean, as we said, like it's so broad. I mean, we could go on and all the different things and all the different scenarios. But at the end of the day, I think it's such a need, especially in today's day and age. Like I said, with everything that these young athletes deal with today. Back in my day, we just had fun. We didn't have multiple seasons. We didn't have clubs back then. We played one season of football in the fall. After that, I was out there surfing, skateboarding, riding BMX bikes. I mean, I grew up on the west side and we just did everything outside. I got decently athletic because we were out playing basketball at the park. I mean, never organized. We played soccer. We just did everything because we didn't have video games. We didn't have social media. I mean, we had a VHS, you know what I mean, a TV. So, I mean, it was a lot different. So in today's day and world, I mean, these kids can get caught up so much just staring at their phones. One of the big things I'll leave with that we talk about a lot is time management. How to utilize their time. What is their time going to look like when when they're in college? Because the question we always ask at the beginning, of our program within this summer program is how many of you want to actually play, at the collegiate level? And everybody, 100% of them raise their hands. Mm-hmm. The next question is how many of you, because we, like Shan said, in everything we do, we got to assess. Because if we don't assess, we don't know how to work with them, or we'll have a better understanding on how to work with them. So the next question is, how many of you want to play as a professional athlete? 100% of them, except for the ones that don't play sports, raised their hand and said yes. So now we know they want to be a 1%er, is what we call them, who actually get to that level. And able to get to that level, they have to be different than everybody else. And that's part of meaning in their schedule, what time they sleep, what time they wake up, how much time they're spending on social media. It's so key, because in order to get to the collegiate level, they have to have their grades up. So I mean, we just hone in on all that, how to journal, have a planner, have a calendar, have affirmations, daily affirmations to look at. I talked about, the 10 ways to be a valuable asset to your team. And I had them write it and put it up in their room. But yeah, I mean, like I said, same as with, as a trainer in sports performance, the same thing. Right when I work with any athlete, I don't care what age, right in the warm up, I'm already assessing their movement, what they can or can't do, their coordination, how low they can squat, how well they can do a push up, just whatever the case is. I'm assessing them right off the bat. From that point, I know exactly what I need to fix in order to move forward. Just like Shan does in the mindset training, you need to assess in order to fix. So I share that to say this, if you're at home and you're that parent or that coach or who has that drive to work with your athlete, but you don't have the skills, you got to be real with that, because you could hurt your kid or your athlete not knowing how to assess as a professional, and then knowing how to fix what they need to fix before you get into doing all these drills that you learn on YouTube. So definitely something with mindset. It's not something you can just go on YouTube. I mean, there's a lot of information on YouTube, but you still have to know how to progress it, I guess is what I'm saying. So you got anything to say before we give any last parting shots?
No.
All right. So Shan has opened it up to do, one-on-one private sessions.
And we can also I was also thinking we could do small groups. I know a lot of people are going into season soon, and school's beginning again. So time management, not a lot of people have time. So I'm open to doing individual or small groups, and then we'll probably do another big thing later on when the seasons are done.
Yeah, we did one workshop and we were trying to create more, but we got busy because we started, we're on Maui doing a flag football league and a basketball league for youth. And when that came into mix, kind of took up all our time on the weekends. But we did one workshop. We had a ton of people show up. Parents and kids were invited. Everybody left. To today, I still have parents tell me, oh yeah, my son or my daughter still has their ultimate athletic goal up in their room. So I mean, it's cool to know that people do understand that, the importance of what we're doing. And we always lead in serving the community, and we believe that's just the way we do things. So any parting shots to end?
Actually, I do. So I know some parents had some questions that were messaging me, such as is there a minimum of classes and the length of the session? So I have it down to a minimum of 4 sessions. If you do sign up for our individual session with me, it's an hour long. Ideally, I feel you need at least 4 to 6 sessions to actually get something out of it. Some people like to stick with me because I might help you like get your foundation, but during the season, things actually come up and you don't know how to work through it. So meeting me and working on whatever's going on at the moment sometimes helps. So I have some people coming in weekly and we touch base and we kind of work through what they're going through. And then when it's time for game time, their mind is ready and they're focused and ready to go. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. I am on Instagram right now, and it's under Mental Toughness Hawaii. Or you can find me on my actual page under my name, Shanmarie Alvarez or Mrs. Hawaii 2012.
Cool. Yep. Last parting shot for me. I mean, she said it right at the beginning, the word resilience. I mean, that word will come up over and over again when it comes to mental toughness. When we can get an athlete to understand that word resilient, being resilient, I mean, the doors unlock and more just happens for this athlete, not just in sports, but in school and when they become functioning adults. And our whole goal is to build, I say this all the time, even before Shan started mental toughness or mindset training, I always said that phase one here in Hawaii, phase one is not just about the physical aspect, because we want to build future leaders of Hawaii or in general. And we talk about leadership every day, because if you're going to be one of the 1%ers and you want to be a professional athlete, you definitely have to be a leader right now in your youth program, sports program, in your high school program. You have to be a leader. And the problem with that is a lot of these, like I've seen a handful of kids with us, right, in these programs now, where you can tell athletically they're good, but mentally they're not. Like, they're not leaders, is what I'm saying. You can tell they're not leaders. In their head, they might be leaders, but they're poor leaders. So meaning, maybe they constantly pick on other kids and say just negative stuff. But you call yourself a leader? Like, that's not a leader. A leader doesn't lead by degrading other kids. That's called insecurity. And it's just teaching them those things where if you want to be that 1%er, then you have to be a good leader. And to be a good leader, you got to learn resilience. So with that said, you good?
Yep.
All right. Episode 2 done. Guys, we're in the books. Check us out on www.p1hawaii.com. Our Instagram page is Phase 1 Hawaii in regards to the sports performance. Coach Paul Alvarez is my personal Instagram. Other than that, we see you on the next episode. If you guys have any questions, just feel free to reach out and we'll get back to you. Aloha. Peace.